I think, when it comes to taxes, I think, honestly, they need to abolish property taxes and they need to abolish sales taxes nationwide. I mean, it needs to be actually declared illegal. And then what needs to happen is the states need to, increase income tax. They're already collecting income tax. They need to increase the income tax to compensate for it. That will get rid of all these use tax issues and all this stuff that goes on the internet. If you just tax people's income, then that'll replace all that lost revenue that's, going out of state or even out of the country, because it's not dependent on sales tax anymore. It's dependent on people's income. It just is. So the thing is, and why this is so fair, is because imagine, if you have a house, okay, you're the owner of the house, it's free and clear, um, but basically, let's say you go broke, lose your job. Well, the city, or your county can come take your property and sell it out from under you. So now you're not only broke because you're jobless, but you're homeless too. That's tyrannical. I mean, that is just absolute tyranny. It just is. And if you base it off income, you make it literally illegal for anybody to actually be able to come take your property. It actually is illegal for anybody, the government or anybody, to come take your property. The only time it's legal, and because this actually has ramifications beyond the government, it's also when it comes to loans. And yeah, it means you're not going to be able to generally get a loan on your home. But if you buy a home, you can get a loan to buy the home. And that's the only person that can come take it is your primary mortgage holder. But you can't really get secondary mortgages and stuff, because the only thing they can do is place a lien on your house. They can't take it from you, though. They can't foreclose. The only people that can foreclose is the people that sold you the house or that financed the house. Those are the only people that can foreclose on you. But from there on out, you cannot get an equity loan or anything on your house unless the economic system adapts to where they're okay with putting a lien on it, because that's the only thing they can do is put a lien against your home, if you get a loan. But otherwise, they can't take it from you, so it's going to be less powerful collateral. But that's a good thing, because the last thing we want anyway is a bunch of homeless people running around out there that shouldn't otherwise be homeless. And one scenario I picture is, okay, let's say you're like a prepper and you want to go off the grid. Okay, you can go out and build a house somewhere, where you grow your own food, produce your own energy, produce your own heat, even catch and purify your own water and take care of your own waste. That can be done. However, that means you don't need any income to live. However, you still need to pay the property tax guy. So what happens if you have some kind of economic problem out there and property taxes go up to from being like let's say $1,000 a year on your property to $1 million a year because of inflation and everything like that? Well, you're sitting there with no income, you can't afford it. And even if that disaster didn't happen that led to that inflation, you're still going to come up with $1,000 a year. Whereas otherwise you wouldn't need any income at all. You're completely self-sufficient, but you actually can't do that in this country because of property tax. So, property tax needs to go the way of the dinosaurs. That needs to actually be outlawed on a federal level, that nobody can come take your property. Nobody can except, again, the original mortgage holder. That's the only person that can. That's the only company that can, the outfit that can foreclose on you. But otherwise, the only thing anybody else can ever do is put a lien on your property. That's the only thing they can ever do. For money owed, but they can never take your asset from you. So what happens is, if if you die or something like that, then your property, instead of changing hands, well, there's a question of paying those foreclosure bills. That's the only time the government can actually resell your property, is if whoever stands to inherit your property does not want to pay the liens against it. So then they can take it, and that's the only time that it can be taken. That's the only time it can be taken. But otherwise, as long as you're alive and kicking, they can't take it from you. Even if you're the biggest hoarder in the world and your place is a rat trap, the government, your local government still can't take it from you. And I'm not a hoarder, by the way, but still, I think it's tyrannical for them to be able to do that. But what they can do is they can forcibly enter your property after repeated notice, if you're a big hoarder, and there's lots of rats and everything else coming from your property, they can forcibly enter your property and clean it up and then put a lien on your property against that. They can, they could do that, you know. So, so it still is a good idea not to be a hoarder, but they can't come take your property. So, because I still think that's just tyrannical in every scenario, because it's the only scenario that I kind of favor them being able to do that, because of the fact that, that can create a big public health hazard. But at the end of the day, I still say I don't want the government under any circumstances ever be able to take your property, or any creditors or anybody, even in bankruptcy or lawsuit or anything. You never have to worry about losing your property. You just have a big ass lien against it. So you may lose it when you die, but at least as long as you're alive, you won't lose it. So, I think that is less tyrannical. But see, the thing is by the state governments, collecting income tax off people, they just, they're already doing it. They just have to up the income tax rate. But there's no more sales tax. There's no more property tax. So at the end of the day, the government, the state governments lose a lot of money, to overseas and stuff because of all the sales tax revenue they're losing because people are buying it over the internet stuff. Well, that solves the use tax issue. It does. That way you don't have to worry about trying to tax the internet. Fuck that. Just take the income as its source. But what I love about and what's so fair about taxing people on income is that, it's kind of ridiculous to have property taxes that pay for schools. Everybody should pay for schools. I don't care whether you own a house or not. You should still have to pay for schools. Now, you can argue that theoretically even people that rent a house are technically paying for schools because it's kind of built into the rent. The property tax is part of the rent. But still, that's sort of arbitrary. They don't see it directly. And I think it's so wrong, that property tax is raised in the name of schools. Well, honestly, screw that. Just go out there and take an income tax from people so any wage earners in your state, will have to pay, that tax. But there's no more sales tax, there's no more property tax, so everybody's paying for the schools and everything, because when the state collects that money, that extra percentage they're collecting actually goes back to the people as a local tax, so it goes back to the cities and the counties. It's divided up properly that way, and as a result, all the states will prosper like they're not doing right now because of the frickin', internet. The internet has been a big game changer, and I think the only way to do that, to get rid of that problem and really improve the health of our state governments and so forth, is a sales tax. I mean, an income tax. Just get rid of property tax and make it outlawed. It's illegal to collect sales tax, and it's illegal to collect property tax anymore anywhere in the country. And if you do it simultaneously like that, it's got to be done on a federal level, just so that all states do it, because otherwise you'd see people migrating to states that didn't have fucking income taxes, and it would kind of backfire. But if you made it on a federal level to say, hey, it's illegal to take people's property from now on, and it's illegal to collect sales tax. If you just did that on a national level, that would force the states to do an income. They'd all have to do it, to try to compensate. So, at the end of the day, it would be a far improved situation overall for not only our local governments, but also, for people in general, because at least there's no tyranny now anymore in that sense. And plus, since it's all an income tax, well, we can all pay attention to how much income tax we're getting nailed for by our states. And that is a good thing. That's a good thing to just focus it in one area instead of it all being these sales tax issues and stuff like that. But that's actually illegal to collect sales tax anymore. But see, the municipalities, the cities and stuff, they can still raise their local taxes, but the state is what collects it. They can still raise their local income tax rate, but, they do it at their own peril because people might want to move to a different city. So, at the end of the day, there's kind of a check and balance there. But this would be so much more sensible and so much less communist, less tyrannical. I mean, ever since I first heard about that, when I first started becoming aware, when I was like, 5 or 6 years old, and people were explaining to me that, oh, yeah, you can own anything property. It's so great to be in America, you don't have all these freedoms like the communists over there in Russia do, but guess what? the government can come take your property from you. What? That sounds like communist to me. That doesn't sound like it's differentiating us very well from what we were railing against back in the 70s and 80s. Now, we're trying to offset ourselves and say we're better than the communists. Well, it didn't sound much like it. I mean, it sounded pretty tyrannical to me. So I just think, this needs to be gotten rid of. This just needs to fundamentally change, and we'll all be better off as a result of it. We'll live under a less tyrannical system, and our governments will be better financed. I mean, they'll actually be funded properly for a change. So we'll have better schools, we'll have better everything because of it, because we're all paying the share we should be paying. And so all this money going to China and everything, well, it's getting taxed now, whether you like it or not. Because there's no such thing as sales tax anymore. It's all done at the income level, where it belongs. So again, this concept of the sales tax is just an outdated level. It does mean, that there's no more sales tax, which is a good thing. But we're all definitely going to be paying more taxes because of it. But that's okay, because we should be. We all need better schools, better infrastructure, better everything. It's just got to be done in proportion. So hopefully it won't work out to be too much of a hardship, but at the end of the day, it's a much better system, a much fairer system. And it makes more sense, and it allows us to focus on that one tax instead of all these other taxes we got to deal with, which is just ridiculous.